Hello and welcome everyone to the next episode on SAP Analytics Cloud tutorial with me Anubhav on anubhavtrainings.com. In this episode, we will discuss about how can we achieve live data connection from a HANA HDI schema to SAP Analytics Cloud. So you can make a direct connection to your HDI HANA deployment infrastructure HDI schema, which is having a calculation view or the cube in SAP Cloud Platform Cloud Foundry and consume that data live in SAP Analytics Cloud in your stories. As part of this session, we're going to see the role of the different development tools in this whole process and also understand the concept of connection. For detailed course on SAP Analytics Cloud, feel free to subscribe our training on anubhavtrainings.com. So in this session, I'm going to show you the role of Web IDE and SAP's new Application Studio, along with that concept of HANA SAC Adapter, SAC live data connection, and creating an SAC story on top of the live data coming out of HDI from XSA. So let's get started first over the design, how exactly you can consume the live data connection from SAP Analytics, from SAP HANA HDI into your SAP Analytics Cloud. So if you really see in the design, what you would want to do is you have on one side your SAP Analytics Cloud, SAC. On the other side, you have SAP HANA database with the new programming model called Access Advance. And I hope all of you are now probably using Cloud Foundry to develop your Access A based applications. So this is where we have our HANA Cloud deployed already. And basically within that, we have a container, HDI container. And in this HDI container, you would have probably your different artifacts. These artifacts could be tables, sequences, triggers, views, calculation views, cubes, database tables, schemas. Different artifacts are part of it. Now, one of the artifacts which I really would like to use in part of my SAP Analytics Cloud story was one of the calculation view, which is exposed as a cube. So suppose you have all the data is part of this HDI schema and you want to use that in SAC story. So basically at the end, what we want to do is we wanted to build an SAC story with a chart on the Analytics Cloud. And this chart should display the live data coming from this cube, which I developed on Access Advance. So for that, of course, you have to have a model created. So in SAC, we have to have a model which is created. And this model should have got created on top of a live data connection. A live data connection allows you to get the data at runtime from the target system. Yeah. Now, how does this connection would happen between these two? The first thing you need to understand that SAP Analytics Cloud is already running on internet. So it's a native cloud application. Already also your Access Advanced schema or HDI container is also running on cloud. So we have SAP HANA Cloud Service, which is also part of SAP Cloud Platform, Cloud Foundry. So both are on the cloud. Then definitely there is no question of using Cloud Connector in this case. But still they have to have some kind of a communication. To have this interface between these two guys together, we would need something called an SAP HANA HDI SAC adapter. So why would this adapter is needed? So whenever a request has to come to hit or read data from this cube view, there has to be somebody who should go and of course authorize that service. This is basically going to be deployed as a service. And this is also, we are going to have it in SAP Cloud Platform, Cloud Foundry. So what will happen is whenever your connection would like to request the data, it will call the service. So this is the Cloud Foundry service. And this is the service where you have your adapter exposing and have a permission to communicate to this XSA. Now, the prerequisite is both of these should be connected with a common SAML provider. Now, if you're using the trial SSE account as well as the trial XSA, which is what I'm going to use here, I'm using SAP IDP, which is configured with both of them. So my same user is actually propagated and authenticated with XSA to get the data. So of course, that's what I will be showing you. And now this live data connection would use this adapter. Now, to build this adapter, you need some tool. Now, what is the tool which we can use to build this adapter and deploy this as a service on SAP Cloud Platform? And that's where SAP's new Application Studio tool comes into picture. So you will use SAP Application Studio to build this this as a multi-target module and deploy this as a service on Cloud Platform. Now, to just get the basic skeleton also generated for this particular service, we also nowadays use a scaffolding NPM module called Yeoman. So Yeoman will also allow you to quickly create or scaffold your project, basically generate a basic skeleton of your project. And then, of course, in this, we will also include the adapter war file together to build this project. And then we will deploy this as a Cloud Foundry service. Now, this project which you create also will have a role, which is called a viewer role, which is what will be assigned to your user so that your user will have a secure access to access this service which is deployed. Now, on the XSA side, of course, you have to first step is create an SAP HANA DB instance on the Cloud Foundry. Now, in step 2, what you would also need is to use the Web IDE tool to create a HANA DB module application. And this HANA DB module application will contain your HDB table. This will also include, of course, in your CSV file and also your table data uploads to upload the data. And then finally, you will create a calculation view over here. So all of this I have already done it. I'm just going to show you how exactly these things are working together, and we'll just see how to build this story in SSE with the live data connection. So let me just go into the system. We'll first start from the right side. We will go back and quickly see where is my HDI schema, and then how I've created all these artifacts in the system. So of course, these artifacts in the system are created using the SAP Web IDE tool. So you can see here there are multiple agents and multiple technologies and multiple tools are involved. So Web IDE tool is what I use to generate a Cloud Foundry HDB module. So let me show you all of these things one by one. So first we'll go to Web IDE and see the HDI schema, which I have created in the system. So I'm going to switch over to the system. And this is our SAP Cloud Platform Cloud Foundry trial account. I will jump over that. And now you can see I have a dev namespace, and this is where I have my Web IDE service, which is already running. So you can see my SAP Web IDE. Oops, I have to go to the trial and I have to go to subscriptions, and that's where I will find my Web IDE service. So you can see SAP Web IDE for HANA development is already there. I can launch this, and you can see I've already launched this over here. And this is where I have a Needy HANA XSA project already placed. And I've created all my database table, my CSV payload. I'll just quickly show you my CSV data. This is my demo data, which I already kept in it. And I have already built this multi-target module. And you can see my calculation view over here. I can also show you the preview of the data over here for this calculation view. So we have just one measure at the moment, which is amount. And then we have dimension as region and country. So we have sales. It's a pretty simple and straightforward data set. So if you really look at, I have an amount and I have region-wise sales over here. This is my calculation view, which I've created on using XSA in Cloud Foundry trial account. So that's how I have my data. But this data I wanted to show as it is in my SAP Analytics Cloud. So how do you do that? So that's the exact reason why we are here. So what I did then is I built this module and I got this mtar file. And then of course, once we build a multi-target module, get this file and you have to deploy it on SAP Cloud Platform. The moment you deploy this, what it will do is it will create the schemas. So I'm going to go back to my dev space. So it creates an HDI container at runtime. And now I can see my HDI container service instance over here. So you can see the service instance name is new-hdb. This is what the name I have given. So now what I do is I go back and show you that what we get as part of this container. So I will go to my containers and you can see I've got here my database table got created when I deploy the app, and I have got my sales table, and of course I've got my calculation view exposed or created as a sales cube. Now this is the data which my HANA system has, and I want to consume this as a live data from the system. So what we do is now we just go back. So that's the step number one. So this tool which you use here to build this is the Web IDE tool. So this part is done. Now in the step two, you have to create your adapter application and deploy this as a service in Cloud Foundry. So for that, we use SAP Application Studio. So I will go back and you can see I have also subscribed the application, SAP Application Studio, which is the new tool introduced in 2020. So you can just go to SAP Business Application Studio, and I'll launch the Application Studio also here. And this is where I have used Yeoman to create a basic skeleton of my project. So basically, we get this nice terminal over here, and we can just quickly generate projects. Yeah. So I have created already a Yeoman project, and then I've also added in the target. I have also added. If we can just go back and show you in the target folder, I've also added the adapter plugin, basically the WAR application, the web archive. So let me just go and show that. So you can see this Java XSHAA HANA Application Adapter for XSAA. I have also added. Where did I got it and download it? So you can just go back to tools.hana.ondemand.com and you can just go to the HANA section, just come down little bottom. You see Analytics Adapter for SAP HANA Extended Application Service. So I've downloaded this zip file, extracted this zip file, and then I've got this WAR file which I've uploaded in my project, which I've scaffolded from Yeoman. And then once this is done, of course, you have got all the settings in place related to this project, and then you again right-click and build this multi-target module. Yeah, so build this MTA module. When you build this MTA module, you're going to get this MTAR archive, MTA archive, and this is the application which you got it generated in a multi-target module. And now you deploy this. So you can see the name of my application is what I've created here. This one actually, it's called Consume SAC. So when I deploy this, what I get is in my dev space of Cloud Foundry, I'm going to get Consume SAC. So I've got this service here up and running, and this service is now connected to my HDI container. How do I know that? So if you go back and see service instances, and you will see this new HDB, which is my container. I have a binding, you can see reference application consume SAC SRV. So this binding got created automatically when you deploy this application. Of course, you have to, while creating the application using Yeoman, you have to provide the schema name so that application gets bind to the HDB schema, HDB container. So now once this is done, I'll go back to my applications and you can see this is up and running. So let me click on this. So this is the bridge between SAP Analytics Cloud, Live Data Connection, and your HANA HDI schema. This is exactly that application which acts as a bridge for exchanging the information live in action. Now, once you click on this, you can see my SAP HANA Analytics Adapter is running in the cloud. which is what can help me now. I can also go back and just check the health of this by SAP BC INA heartbeat, whether it's beating or not, it's throbbing or not. And there you go, you can see my service is up and running. So now it's time that I will create a connection. So I'm going to copy this URL, of course, and we switch over to our SAP Analytics Cloud tenant. And this is where we are building our stories or machine learning scenarios and predictive scenarios and stories and stuff like that. So if you want to have an end-to-end idea on SAP Analytics Cloud, including planning, BI, modeling, different concepts on planning, predictive scenarios, machine learning with SAC, the smart predict features, and also would like to learn the live data, acquired data connections and different modeling types, including the application designer. We have a very powerful training which helps you to do that end-to-end, step by step. Of course, this is just an overview session today here on YouTube, but there's a lot you can really do that with us as part of our main training. So coming back, now here is where we can go to the connection. And what I do is just get that adapter URL to maintain a live data connection. So you can see the icon here is a little different from the other connections I have. So this is the connection. I have it here. It's a live data connection. You can see it's a HANA Direct live data connection. So I maintain this over here, and then I can switch back to create a new model. So let's create a new BI model using data from data source, of course, and I will choose live data connection, and I'll select here my SAP HANA connection, which I just created. So let's choose the connection name. And now I can choose F4 help to see the data sources which are available in that connection. So of course, if you remember in our Web IDE tool, when I looked at the container had a cube view, sales cube. The same sales cube view will be visible to you because the live data connection, and there you go. I can now choose this, click on OK. And as you all know that the analytics cloud is not gonna move all the data to analytics cloud. Rather, the data is still remains in the source system, which is in this case is HANA, and the only metadata or the skeleton of the or the structure of the data gets replicated to analytics cloud. So here you'll not actually see the data, or you can't do the blending, splicing, dicing of the data right away because it's not a acquired data connection, it's a live data connection. And then what I can see all my measures and dimensions, including my hierarchies. If I have anything, they will be imported as a metadata, as a skeleton or structure to my analytics cloud. I can save this and I can say live data model Anubhav, and this is anubhavtrainings.com, and I can click on OK, and there I have got a live data connection created. So let's go back and create a story now on that. So I can click on story. And of course, the benefit is it's not going to copy all the data. Rather, the data is there still on the source system. All your source system consistencies are applied there. The authorization concept or the hierarchies, everything is from the source system. Your data doesn't leave your system. It still remains in the source system. It's just that at runtime, the data gets fetched after aggregation is being applied. So let's create a chart here using our live data model now. And now I can just come back here to select my models and measures. So let me select my amount as a measure, and you can see all the data got aggregated right from there. So now I can say I want to know it by region, and you can see per region now your sales is coming up. This is all live data coming from SAP HANA HDI container. I can also go back and say per country. So per region, per country, these are all the sales information which I have in my live data system, and they're all being fetched right from there in form of a live data connection. So this is how exactly the flow of the data. Of course, I just covered an overview here in this session. All of these things we have done it in the training, how to create every single bit of it. I've shown the steps, but this is just an overview session for all of you to get an idea of how it's being done. But if you want to learn all these things, of course, my course is open where I have shown all of these things in about 3 to 4 hours of sessions, explaining each bit of it and writing every single line of code in front of you to achieve this connection end to end. And you'll also be able to do that absolutely working with the Cloud Foundry trial as well. So with that, it's a wrap on today's session. I hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to subscribe our course on anubhavtrainings.com. With that, Anubhav signing out. Thank you. Have a nice day. Goodbye.